All right, so step one, we're gonna make a multi-piece form. So this is kind of for the students who have done a lidded jar and are gonna kind of go to the next step. It's kind of like a lidded jar, gone crazy, because you're gonna take like the bottom piece and then add like a lid that's here that I threw this morning, and it's drier, and I've kind of cut the bottom off and I've made a gallery up here, and then we're going to put that piece that's over there on top of here as well. So we're going to have 3 pieces. So we're going to stack it. We're going to go for it. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. Okay. So I measured the pieces this morning for like the middle part and the top part, so that as they dried, they would still kind of match together. Then I'm going to throw these things on a bat. You'll notice that these are thrown on this wooden piece. This is a rounded bat that's made for the wheel. And so I've made this like chuck piece on the bottom. And what you want to do is, this is just a chunk of clay that I centered and then squished all the way flat. And then you put some ridges in it, so there's some like air pockets. Get it just a little bit damp. You don't want it super wet, just a little bit damp. And put it on. I get a little uptight and try to make sure that it's like nicely centered on there, because if it's not, it just like bothers my eyes. It doesn't matter necessarily, but it just kind of bothers my eyes. And then I pound it down. Now there's a million different ways you could do this. There's a lot of people who have like a circle bat and then they cut out a square in it, and they use like those square bats that we have and pop the square bat in there. And then there's these holes where you can have bat pins and it like just attaches to the top. But I don't have those on because then I have to take them off for the level 1 students so they don't like ruin their hands. So I like to do it this way. And then you can kind of do a multiple ones real quick. Before I start, I like to just hold my hand here to make sure it's mostly level. Okay. And then, you know, depending on how off your bat is, sometimes you have to center the clay kind of above the bat. All right. So here's my clay. I don't know how this is going to work because I don't do this very often. So we're going to cross the fingers and hope for the best. But what we're going to do, oh, sorry, there you go. Not used to throwing on a bat. You have to get the bat just a little damp, otherwise it doesn't stick. Whereas with the like metal wheel head, you want it to be really dry. And with the bat, you need it to be just a little bit wet so the clay sticks. Otherwise it doesn't stick. So I'll probably make a bunch of mess ups because I don't do this very often. And we're kind of really doing this for Katie since she's not here. But there we go. Okay. Then, you know, just like normal, you would center. Now, there's plenty of places on Instagram or on YouTube where you can see other people do this. So I encourage you to go find other ones too. Because like I said, I don't do this all the time. So the demonstration will probably be a little bit dodgy at best. Whereas there's some people who do this, you know, all the time and make huge forms. So if you've ever wondered how you get like a, you know, 3-foot tall vase, this is how you would do it. And you guys, obviously, I'm not expecting a 3-foot tall vase out of you, but you can. Okay, so there's this is about 2 pounds of clay, I think. I didn't really measure it ahead of time, but you know, you'd want to go with whatever you're used to. Try not to throw so big that it's like out of your league. But I'm going to throw this just like I would normally throw a cylinder. But what I'm going to shoot for is that I've got this measurement here, which is the middle part that I've measured this morning. We're going to have to measure that and make sure the top fits.
So are you doing like the bottom of the vase?
Yep, so right now I'm doing the bottom, and then this will be like the middle, and then that'll be the top. Okay.
The inside or the outside?
So I measured the outside on this one, and then I'll measure the inside so that that one's gonna like fit inside the gallery, just like a lid.
Okay.
I am video recording here. No, it's all right. I mean, that's the beauty of the live video recording, right? Usually I do this when no one's around, so it's just me talking to myself. Huh? Yeah. Volume's on.
It's kind of weird, just an art teacher sitting in his classroom
Talking to myself? I know. I've been doing it for so long, it almost doesn't feel weird anymore.
Best part is when we're in the room and we're doing it, and then it's just like.
Then it's even weirder. I got kids walking around in the background. It's like, oh. Yep. So, next video. All right, so with this, you do want to leave the walls just a hair thicker. Like you wouldn't want to pull this as if it's your final form because it has to support all of that weight on top. So you do want to leave it a little thicker.
How much thicker?
That is a good question. Depends on how much weight you're putting on top, I guess. I mean, usually I would say your walls should be about 1/4 of an inch thick, you know, to be like nice throwing. But I'd probably say, you know, 3/8 of an inch thick at the bottom. And then you can always thin it out a bit.
Which part did you throw first?
I threw the shoulder first, and then I threw the
And
top.
then you based all your measurements off of that?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. So basically, I need to have it that wide so that that one will fit inside of it. And notice I'm leaving the top pretty thick because I'm going to cut a gallery in there. Now, on the one hand, if I was like, you know, most potters would not throw something this short to do like a multi-stacked thing. They would probably start with more clay and make it taller to begin with, and then, but I'm kind of doing it backwards because I wanted to have those two prepared for you guys.
So you would usually start with the
You'd
bottom?
usually start with the bottom and then like have a second wheel or something.
Do you have to do it like all in one sitting, like make all 3 parts in one class or something?
No, you can make them all in separate classes. Actually, and that's why I would do those top pieces first because you want the bottom piece to still be on the wheel so you don't have to recenter it.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, so that's why I'm kind of doing the bottom piece last.
So do you suggest us to do the bottom piece last? as well?
Yes, yeah. So I helped Ian and we did one of these together, and he was throwing the bottom piece, and then we just used a separate wheel and threw the top piece and took it off. But there might not always be 2 wheels. Okay, so there's my gallery. Right there. So I'm going to cut this gallery in just like I have shown you before. I don't need to make it too very deep. I just want like a little ledge for it to sit on. All right. Now, this is where, you know, you'd ask me, and we need to like dry the bottom so it doesn't crumple in on itself. And you know, normally if you were a potter, you'd just let this sit out and do something else, do all your glazing or whatever.
But you're gonna blowtorch it?
So I'm going to blowtorch it just for the time constraints we have here. And so if we need to in class, we can blowtorch here. But you want to leave the top like a little bit wet so that it can be molded, but you want the bottom to be dry. Let's hope this works, right? It's gonna take so long. Can you smell it? Still a little bit on the wet
Is
side.
it like really hot now?
It's warm. If you want to touch it, you can feel it. It's just like warm.
Whoa.
Now, what I did, a lot of potters that do this all the time and have like a bat set up can throw it right onto the bat, but my bat was a little bit off, so I threw this above the bat. So this part is all in center, but the bottom piece is off center. So that's why I kind of cut it.
Could you just put the hole all the way through and then not have to cut it off your bat? Like when you're opening it, open it all the way down to the bat?
Yeah, so that's what I did here. And I cut it this morning, but it of course just kind of scrunched back together. So this is down to the wood on that side. So I'm going to press it inside of that gallery. And on the inside, I'm just making sure that it's even. This wheel is so touchy too, like worried. All right, now.
You've got a gap on this side.
There's a gap there?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna do this. Now on the inside, I'm gonna go real slow. I'm just gonna use the rib to smooth this together. And on the inside, I'm supporting it so that my fingers are holding that even. And I'm like compressing it on the inside, and I'm smoothing it and compressing it on the outside as well. So you can make that large kind of form. I'm going to speed it up just a bit. And just get the wet on the inside just a little.
Are you going to blowtorch this again before you put the top
Yep,
piece on?
I will. Now, this top piece is dry because it's been sitting all morning. But it's like just wet enough that I can pull just a little bit. So your second piece that you make first, you want to make sure that as you make it, it's kind of finished and as equal to the first part as you think you're going to need to make it. So like if you feel inside now, it's even thickness from the top to the bottom. Okay. Now I'm just gonna like tidy up this gallery that I put up here from this morning. Torch that so it like is nice and solid. So that seam is nice, like put together all the way. doing that, drying that edge out. All right, now do the same thing. Now this one I already measured this morning, so hopefully I measured it well enough. Of course, sitting around all day, it got stuck to itself again. So those level 2 kids who already made your jar, this is like your assignment. It obviously does not have to be this big. You can make it a bit smaller. But huh?
Is this an assignment for level 3 too? Or is it like
Not this semester.
Okay, good.
Next semester it might be. This is kind of like you know, if you've got time. All right, so now that sits right inside of that gallery. You can see that. And so on the inside, how about you guys actually put your hands in and just feel what that feels like on the inside so you can see what it's supposed to feel like. Go ahead. And then feel the outside too. So you feel how that overlaps on the inside. And then I'm going to squish those two together. So after we're good. So go and see what that feels like, and then afterwards we'll show you what it feels like as well. So you can kind of see.
Nice and lumpy. Nice
and lumpy, right? Ooh, as I'm getting water all over my back. Okay.
I'm fine. I'll just sit here.
Yeah, I think for next level 3, I'll have this be the narrative vase. They'll have to make a multi-piece vase. Now I'm just going to pull this together.
Is this one harder to pull because
Yeah, it's a little bit stiff.
Yeah.
So I'm supporting it on the inside with my finger, and rather than like pull, I'm compressing it more than anything. So there, now that piece is together.
So how would you do something like this if you wanted like a really skinny neck or something?
You could do the same thing, and then you could just close the middle piece. You could close it in further and then just make a really skinny neck. Or there's lots of potters who will do this and then just put a huge coil on and then go it. And let's see how bad this is. If I can.
For like fitting your hand in it to.
Oh yeah, you have to leave it. You have to leave it
hand size.
wide enough so that you can get into it. But then once you're done getting in, like I can probably pull this a little bit. I don't want to put too much pressure on it. So I can pull a little bit, and then I can collar it more. But yeah, so that's how you can make that like stackable form in the sense of putting more than one piece together. Now, mine were maybe not as tall as like a normal potter who does this every day, because I don't make these forms every day. But you could do this with less clay, obviously, just since it'll be your first time. And then there you go. And then the beauty of this is then you can just lift this bat off. You can cut the bottom off and lift it off and then let it dry like that. So like a lot of these bigger pieces are up here. They were probably thrown as multi-piece forms rather than one huge chunk of like 25 pounds worth of clay, because that's kind of hard to get that, to manage that. All right? So there you go.